Yeah, and then there was the one commercial for Hyundai, like where they were going down in an elevator to levels of hell, and one was vegan dinner party.
Yeah.
It's not funny. It's not funny.
I was like, oh, I know
Which
someone
is
that's
sad,
going to
though,
have
that
a
was-
thought on that commercial.
It's sad, though, because that was like one of the funnier commercials.
Yeah.
That was
Jason
like,
Bateman does not age.
No.
No. He has this weird commercial for
Okay,
like
could
some
you
health
not
drink.
say it like that?
No,
No. And welcome to another episode of Even More Mashed Up, a pop culture podcast brought to you by Misericordia University, featuring two professors talking about all things pop culture. I am Patrick.
Hey, and I'm Alan. You went back to just the standard, no bones.
I did. I'd like to point out I got through it without flubbing it this time.
You did not
That
flub
might be
it.
the first time.
Although you were really hitting the P's hard.
I like to hit the P's.
The pop
Peas.
professors
Yeah, the viewers hate that.
P-
The
yeah.
viewers, the listeners.
Spider-Man.
cast.
Peter Parker. Peter Porker.
And I'm Alan. And
I think you covered that.
So what are we talking about today? We're going to get into a web of issues involving spiders.
Wow, that worked really well.
Yeah.
You did about as well as you know.
Somebody who popped his peas.
I like to pop my peas. I'm a pea popper. I do not like that phrase.
Yeah.
Now that I've said that.
No.
Yes, so we're talking Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse.
Into the Spiderverse.
Yes. The hit animated Spider-Man movie from Sony.
It's done pretty well, actually.
It's done decently well. I mean, it's 7th out of 7 in terms of Spider-Man movies.
I assume you've got numbers.
No.
You don't?
No.
How much money has it made?
I don't know.
Now I have to go to Google.
Yes, go to the Google. I'm curious
Yeah.
as to how much money. You didn't do any work?
I did work. I just didn't do numbers.
But you know it's 7th
Yes.
in terms of box office.
Of the Spider-Man film.
So you couldn't just have jotted down that number
No.
when you looked up the list.
I did not.
What's number one among the
you know
Spider-Man
what?
films?
Don't tell me what to do with the numbers.
Okay.
Okay?
Good.
What
All
I
right.
decide to do with the numbers is my thing.
That's right. So what was number one?
I don't recall.
I'm looking it up as well.
Spider-Man 2? Might have been Spider-Man 2.
Really? I would think the newer stuff would make more money just because it's newer.
No. I think Spider-Verse is behind the Andrew Garfield ones. I think they're at the bottom.
But the Tom Holland ones. Like the Andrew Garfield never really clicked, but the
Yeah.
Tom Holland should be near the top, I would think.
I don't
347 million.
recall.
347 million?
That's domestic and foreign.
Gee, so only like 30%, 35% of what Aquaman's made.
Yeah. And yet it's like 100% better.
That's my first note here, is that this has got to be the kind of film that totally dispirits everybody at DC. Like nobody can work at DC, and you've worked for years to get Aquaman just right, and Marvel, out of nowhere, throws this avant-garde-ish cartoon up on the screen, and it's way better. Right? They're cranking out Aquaman, which measures up maybe to the weakest stuff in the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
Barely.
Yeah.
It certainly isn't punching to the top of the Marvel
No.
class, like nowhere near. And while they're cranking out a soulless plastic moneymaker, Marvel creates this totally new, heartfelt, human, and totally awesome film.
Yeah.
This was one of the favorite films I've seen in quite some time.
It's one of the things I find really interesting because you think about kind of the Spider-Man franchise at Sony kind of, coming out of the Garfield era.
Yeah.
Where there were all these plans for we're going to create a Spider-Man universe, and that all kind of seemed to fall apart. And you got the very nice reboot with Far From Home.
Yeah. Were you ever disappointed that Rhino didn't get a full film?
No, not that version of
Yeah,
Rhino.
me either.
But then it's kind of interesting when you look at, Sony had two Spider-Man films come out, pretty close to each other in Venom
Yeah.
and in Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
Both of which were successful.
Yeah.
That they actually kind of have managed to create sort of a Spider-Man universe almost kind of by accident.
Yeah, although Venom is sort of...
Venom is Aquaman.
But his connection to the Spider-Man universe
Yeah.
is... I didn't see the film.
I didn't see it either.
Seems odd or, not direct.
Yeah, but I think, Venom, is similar to DC's Aquaman in that, it kind of doesn't take itself too seriously.
Right.
And yet they still managed to make it, I would say probably more
Gnarly.
I imagine if I were to watch Venom, again, it would be very much like Ghost Rider. Like I think they embrace the camp of it a little bit more than Aquaman.
You say that you're never going to watch it.
I probably will at some point.
Of course you will.
But I haven't. I'll wait till it comes out on like HBO or
That
whatever.
is the canary in the coal mine right there.
What?
A superhero movie came out, you didn't go see it.
Venom's not a superhero. He's an anti-hero.
A comic book movie came out, and you didn't go see it.
I did not go see it.
Yeah.
That is correct.
Well, I hope they get Endgame out before the entire industry collapses.
I think they'll manage.
Yeah, he thinks.
I think they'll somehow pull that off.
Yeah, between Miss Marvel or Captain Marvel and
Still not sold on Captain Marvel.
how could you not be?
I don't know.
Brie Larson?
We can talk about this next.
Skrulls?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Really?
I have concerns.
Old lady punching?
Right, and you love. Well, of course, you have concerns. You loved Aquaman.
I didn't love Aquaman. I liked Aquaman.
Would you
I
knock
found it
the muff
enjoyable.
off one more time, dude? Unprofessional. Unprofessional.
You need to hire a bit of talent.
Yeah, right. Of course, that would mean.
Oh!
And again, that would mean, of course, we'd have to actually hire somebody to do this show.
Yeah, or pay the people who
Right.
do it.
That's what I mean. Instead of like 3 people sitting here just pro bono cranking out this kind of quality.
Yeah.
It surprises me sometimes that nobody's come and scooped us up.
I know, it's a little hurtful, actually.
Like a big podcasting mega corporation that pays their talent
I did
millions
see
of
that there
dollars
was a
year.
podcast, one of the podcasts that I think I follow on Facebook or something.
Yeah.
That they had like a whole bunch of like podcast awards, but they were all for the Canadian Podcast Awards.
Oh.
Like, oh man.
Rich, do you have any Canadian ancestry?
No.
Okay.
Can we broadcast this podcast into Canada?
We do already.
I don't. Do we? I can't remember.
Do you know how the internet works?
I haven't checked the stats
If
yet.
they can get it
It's a
in
series of
Brazil, they
tubes.
can get it in
What?
Canada.
It's a series of tubes.
It's a series of tubes.
I mean, if people could, they could listen to it in space.
What are we talking about again?
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. That's
No,
right,
no, we
Spider-Verse.
were talking about something specific about it, though. Rich, where were we?
I was talking about Venom and the Sony franchise.
Oh,
And
there
how
we
they've
go.
actually
Yeah.
managed to kind of pull off a Spider-Man franchise that's not just more Spider-Man movies.
Right, and then this cartoon, which is revolutionary too high a praise
No,
for it? It is, I think, a film that unlike any film I've ever seen.
It is. Well, particularly in terms of the animation style.
Yeah.
Which apparently, it took. I do have one number for.
See, he lied to
Spider-Man.
us. He said he had
He's
no
always got a
numbers.
number somewhere.
In that.
Wow, you have dense notes, dude.
Where did I write? Oh,
Look
this
at my
is just
notes.
The plot
Like,
summary.
can you read that?
Here's
This
my
is just the
notes.
plot summary, cut and pasted before I went and saw it a second time. Yeah, so animating this film required 140 different animators, which is the largest crew ever in Sony Pictures
Wow.
history. And to develop the 10 seconds of animated footage that they used to sell, to pitch the film originally,
Yeah.
took a year.
So what was that the scene of him jumping off the building?
I mean,
Like, do we know
that was
what
the
it
first thing we saw, so I'm guessing it was probably something like that. That the sheer amount of work in creating the animation style,
Yeah.
which I found really interesting in the way that it blended so many things.
Right.
Like you had the captions,
Right?
like classic comic book captions. You had thought bubbles.
Yep.
You had Kirby dots.
You had motion lines.
Yeah, well, one of the things I found really interesting is the first time I saw it, particularly when the dimensions crossed into each other, it reminded me of something.
Yeah.
And I really could not put my finger on it until I saw it the second time.
Yes.
And it was Bill Sienkiewicz from the New Mutants
Yeah.
era. I was like, it's
Interesting.
it's got
and
a
Bill
very
Sienkiewicz
Sienkiewicz style to it.
In the New Mutants era is some of my favorite art.
Oh,
all
that's
time.
that and when he was doing Moon Knight, which I think was around the same time.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was Sienkiewicz at some of his best work.
Yeah. Yeah, I
And
mean
they're
those
just like
stories
they're-
they're just spectacular stories.
And just the art, which is so kind of abstract and unique. There seem to be elements of it,
Right.
of kind of a Sienkiewiczyan aesthetic in this
Yeah.
film.
I love this film.
Yeah.
I've recommended it to everybody.
Oh, yeah.
If you're going to go see a movie, go see this movie. And part of it was because I agree with you. The movie is the way they put it together, but in its own way, it's very, very comic booky.
Oh yeah,
You
it might be
feel-
the most comic booky film we've had.
Right, Zack Snyder tried to do that with Watchmen,
Yeah.
Like
Well,
like
and-
you're kind of
and-
doing like a panel for panel
And
kind
Ang
of.
Lee tried to do it with his version of the Hulk, where you
Yeah.
had like panels and they had transitions and things
Yeah.
like that.
But this makes both of those efforts look really clunky
Oh yeah.
and
If you've ever
monochromatic.
if you've ever watched the honest trailer on Ang Lee's The Hulk,
Yeah.
it is hilarious.
I have not, so.
because what they actually do is they take all of his transitions and speed them up, so that you see them like and play like the Benny Hill cartoon music behind it. It is quality stuff. Because that got it. I remember when the Ang Lee Hulk came out. Like, one of the questions that film raised, because Ang Lee, to his credit, he tried to do more than just take, like, a comic book
Right.
plot into
Yeah.
a film.
Yes.
He tried to take the aesthetic of comics and put it on film.
Right.
And I remember there was kind of this debate about what is a comic book movie. Is it a movie that just kind of takes the plot?
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, is probably what the vast majority of the comic book
Or just
movies
takes the
we've had at this
characters.
point are.
Yeah.
Or is a comic book movie actually taking, like, the style and the form of the comic book genre
Right.
and transposing it to film? And that's something that Spiderverse, I think, very much does, more
Right.
so and better so than probably anything
And
before.
it obviously does both of those things. It
Yeah.
takes comic canon and characters and plot and mixes it with the comic aesthetic.
Yeah.
And maybe you can only do that with animation.
That's the thing. I think
Because,
part of it is
I mean-
the fact that it's animated allows them to do that a lot more, I think.
Right.
Well, it's like the Alita Battle Angel that's coming out. They've
Yeah.
had her look. They had the character design based off like the animation. It's like it looks very off-putting.
Yeah.
No, it's
So-
very much in the uncanny valley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so like in that case with animation, that may be the only way. To keep everything looking like actual animation
Yeah.
instead of making it look realistic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe the only way to do it.
Because again, like I really liked Watchmen, and one of the things I liked about it is that I thought Zack Snyder tried to take the comic material visually and bring it to the screen.
He does to a certain extent. I mean, and I don't know that you don't have aspects of the comics like panel borders and captions
Right.
and things like that. He doesn't
Right.
take it quite that far.
No, I agree, but
he does try to recreate like Watchmen
right,
on the screen.
if you know the graphic novel and
Yes.
you watch the movie, like you see visual after visual repeated,
Right.
almost. Like,
but you have to know both of those texts. Whereas if you don't, just watching Watchmen, I don't
right,
know that
agreed.
you would get that
Yeah,
necessarily.
I think that is fair, and that's not this film. Like
No.
this was something unique and
Yeah.
true to the comic book art form.
Yes,
I don't think
and
there's ever been a movie done like
the
this.
comic book art form, like the classic comic book art form that like you and I grew up on. Like
Yeah.
it's very much kind of like your 70s, 80s, with the caption boxes and thought bubbles and things
Yeah.
like that.
But there's you
And yet there's also a very modern aspect.
right,
to it
like
too,
you
as well.
undersell the comic bookiness of it when you just talk about, not that you're doing this, thought bubbles and narrative boxes and things like that. There is something more profound going on in
Yeah.
there, because other films have tried panels and thought
Right.
boxes. There's something else going on here. Like,
Yeah.
it's almost like those forms pull you into it, but then it feels like you're living in a comic book.
Yeah. Well, I think part of it is that you have, and it's one of the things I find really interesting. I mean, we just got done talking about Aquaman and kind of how overstuffed that film is.
Yeah.
There's a lot in this film when you consider that they're
There
basically
is.
introducing 6 or 7 different alternate realities.
Yeah.
And in particular that Miles' sort of base reality.
He's the anchor.
Is a
Yeah.
slightly different version of, like, there's a different Dr. Octopus. The Scorpion's totally different.
Yeah.
And things like that. Like, there's a lot, and then you have to introduce Spider-Gwen to Spider-Man, Spider-Ham, Spider-Man Noir, like all of these
Yeah.
characters, and they manage it very deftly.
The robot.
Oh yeah,
Penny
Penny
Parker.
Parker and Spider.
Yeah. Now, I know somebody who went to see the film that doesn't know Spider-Man well.
Right.
And she talked a little bit about how, like, trying to make sense of all of, like, having a background helped
Probably.
when you came to watch this movie. Just the idea of multiple universes,
Yes.
for example.
It's one of the things that I kind of wondered. Did this movie benefit from the fact that on film and television at this point we've had so many
Yeah.
multiple universe things that
Right.
that they didn't really have to work to explain the mechanics of that?
It is a more familiar
Yeah.
trope than it used to be.
I think, and I think it benefited from the fact that Spider-Man at this point is very well known, and that they could kind of rely on people to
Right.
know that.
And yet, Spider-Man's not really the focus in terms of the traditional Spider-Man.
Right.
Like, the Peter Parker you get is not the Peter Parker that anybody that wasn't a comic book fan, or even comic book fans, would really expect.
Right.
You know,
Yes.
out of shape,
Yeah.
middle age.
Oh my God, fat schlubby,
Yeah.
down on his luck spider. Like it's just the best. It's the best thing ever.
Yeah, it's a really.
I really
Do
enjoy.
you know that seahorses made for life?
Are those sweatpants? There were so many. Yeah, it's such a good film. Like it's got to be up there among the best of the comic book films.
Agreed. We could talk about that maybe as we get towards
Yeah.
the end. So you would agree then with the review at Metacritic that said the following. Another Spider-Man movie, you ask? Get excited as Spider-Verse breathes new life into our familiar, friendly neighborhood hero. It's slickly and gorgeously animated in a way that I've never seen Western cinema attempt before.
Oh yeah,
This is the closest we will ever get to a comic book coming to life.
yeah.
That's
I'd agree with most of that.
Really high praise,
Yeah.
and yet I think it's generally deserved.
I think the other thing besides the animation style, the other thing that really struck me
Yeah.
about the film, particularly the second time, is the soundtrack is pitch perfect.
Yeah.
Like the music for there is not a wrong choice in the music in this film.
I've got one complaint. They didn't use Toto's Africa.
Yeah. Did they use Take
But
on
not
Me?
the original one, the cover.
Yeah, the cover. I want more of that cover
I
version.
gotta say, I mean, and again, it
bit of
immediately made me
Cannibal
think to it made me
Yeah.
think to Black Panther as well. That both of those films have really stellar soundtracks.
Because when you start thinking about the comparison of Marvel and DC,
Mm-hmm.
you realize how layered it is.
Yeah,
Writing, directing, casting,
yeah,
music, costuming,
yeah.
despite Suicide Squad winning like the makeup or
Well,
whatever.
yeah,
But the truth of the matter is, Marvel is so good because it is so layered
Yeah.
in its excellence,
yeah.
whereas DC gives us.
Yeah, I do feel really
ham-fisted
good
stuff.
for the producers Phil Lord and Christopher Miller.
Yeah.
Since prior to Spider-Verse, what they were most known for was that they were fired from directing Solo, a Star Wars story.
Ouch.
Wow.
Because they're the guys. The other thing they've done, they're the Lego Movie guys.
Yeah.
And they fired them. Wow.
And they fired. Yeah, because they.
No,
I
they
guess,
needed to make Solo what it was.
Well, and part of it too is that Lord and Miller have a very improvisational
Yeah.
style.
I remember talking about this on the show earlier.
which
Yeah.
the Star Wars people did not like the improvisational nature
And
of it.
but it worked out better for them.
Oh, it sure did. I mean, Solo was a
Oh God, yeah,
classic
I'm like,
gangbuster in a film,
oh
right?
yeah,
Holy
well yeah.
cow.
Lord and Miller. I mean, yeah, geez, you guys got shelved for Solo, and now you're just producing Spider-Verse.
Right, yeah,
losers.
like, what a bunch of losers,
Yeah, a bunch
you know?
of losers. Nominated for Best Animated Oscar.
Yeah.
And has a really legit shot at actually winning.
And in a way, saved by the Star Wars people from being associated with Solo.
yeah.
Although, had they made it, maybe Solo would have been good.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah. I'm not sure.
That was it was a hard film for
Yeah.
me to, yeah, agreed.
But yeah, no, it's really kind of, well, and again, I think you see in Solo aside, like you look at the Lego Movie and what they did there, in terms of like how skillfully that film was made.
yeah.
But yeah, Spider-Verse
those are-
is just
Joyful films. They're really good
Yeah.
films. Yeah. Yeah. So you mentioned the supporting cast. Like, so you were talking about the various
Mm-hmm.
Spider-Men and women. It's one of the things I love most about the film.
Yeah.
Like, the supporting cast was just, it was so great to have a Spider-Man film that wasn't about Spider-Man.
yeah,
Peter Parker.
right.
And I always loved Spider-Ham when I was a kid.
Oh my
like,
God,
I just thought
Spider-Ham.
Spider-Ham. And Bobby and I were talking about it before the film. He's like, I don't know about Spider-Ham.
Mm-hmm.
Like, can you? And I thought they did Spider-Ham almost perfectly.
That's the thing. I was there's part of me that, particularly I there was just enough Spider-Ham.
Right.
I could have used more.
It's like you're ordering dinner. You're like a chopped judge now.
But the other thing, like
need a
Spider-Ham,
little more Spider-Ham
but also
on
I gotta
display.
say, Nick Cage's Spider-Man Noir
yeah,
was just like the
Oh,
yeah.
I love
Sneak
that.
Attack.
it's
Like just like
It's
the way
the-
in which that he's
Yeah.
he's
I let
black. They're
matches
like,
burn
are you
down
black?
to the end.
Yeah, exactly. Are
Aw.
you black and white? Why is there wind? We're inside. It's like there's always wind where I am, and it always smells like rain. Like
Yeah.
Nick
It's-
Cage nailed that.
It's
Like there was
well.
just
Here's the
enough
thing,
there.
though. It's the Nick Cageiest part.
It is.
Like, like when you say we're gonna do Spider-Man Noir.
I love the fact that he's got the Rubik's cube.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
I
you
want to take this. I don't understand it. but
you
like-
think about it, right? And he's perfect.
Yeah,
He's perfect.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And Spider-Gwen was great too.
Spider-Man. Yeah, Haley Steinfeld played
Yeah.
her.
What a talented actor.
Yeah, she's having between that and Bumblebee, she's had a good fall.
She's doing okay.
Yeah, she's doing okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I always loved her in True Grit too.
Oh, I forgot that she was in True Grit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And well, she was in the Pitch Perfect 2 and 3, which I've not seen either
I've not
of those.
seen those.
Um,
You haven't seen those?
No, I've not.
You've seen one though.
I've seen one.
Okay.
She's not in one.
Okay.
Um,
I've not seen any of them. So
really? Oh,
I've
Pitch
seen-
Perfect 1 is a good movie.
They're okay.
Yeah.
I've seen like
2 and 3 are not.
I think I've seen 2. I forget
It seems
one.
like the kind of franchise is going to get weighed down by sequels. Maybe
Possibly.
it's better to
I think it
stop
probably should be
stop
done.
at one. Yeah. So what do you think about Penny Parker?
I enjoyed her.
Yeah.
Apparently, I read an article that originally the script was originally she was going to be killed along with the spider robot.
Wow.
And they decided that was going to be too dark. Because one of the things I find really funny
Yeah.
that the second time that I'm watching it, when they're all talking about their origin, and Miles is talking about his, and it's Spider-Man Noir is like, wow, that's a really hardcore origin.
Yeah.
And the next scene is his uncle getting killed. I'm like, Jesus, Miles' origin is dark.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't until the second film that I was like, oh yeah, they killed his uncle. Because that's what always happens in Spider-Man.
Well, that's the thing I thought was fun is when they do the whole intros of when it's like, oh, there's a pattern. Like they
the intros were great. I also love the fact that the intros included like the creators' names.
Yeah.
On the covers. Another way that they showed like a great deal of respect to the comic book genre.
Yeah. Right.
Was the way in which that they kind of honored that.
I saw some complaining online that Penny didn't get enough screen time, but I didn't like.
I mean, I liked her a lot.
The problem is that there's so many.
There was so much. That's
like
the problem.
supporting
I could
characters that
I
had-
could see that complaint. Like I agree that
because this was really about three
Miles.
people,
Miles,
right? Miles
Gwen,
and Peter,
and Chubby Peter. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
But I gotta say, in terms of, like, I think they hit it just about right. That I think for Penny, for Spider-Man Noir, for Spider-Ham,
right,
I would have been fine if there was more with them.
right,
But I think they might have stopped just short of where it might have overburdened the film.
yeah,
I think the one thing that makes me sad, because I love that they did this. So, Tombstone, who's one of Kingpin's
okay,
cronies, he's the albino gangster guy.
okay,
That I think he literally has one line in the film.
yeah,
Do you know who they got to play him?
no,
Oh, Schwarzenegger.
The guy that plays Tobias Whale on Black Lightning, the albino gangster.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that is that was it?
typecasting,
Marvin Crondon Jones. That I think they purposely got him to be Tombstone because he plays
Yeah.
a very similar character on Black Lightning. I was like,
Interesting.
that is funny. And then like the first time I saw the film and then I read that, I was like, I don't remember him having a single line in the movie.
yeah,
And then I saw it the second time and I think he has one line.
yeah,
What does he say?
I can't remember what it was. It was something like just a threat or something like. Oh, when he comes into Aunt May's house,
Oh.
he says something about you're in trouble, kid, or something like that.
By the way, like Aunt May was kind of interesting in this movie too.
Oh, I've got an
Aunt May was
interesting bit
great.
of trivia about Aunt May.
Okay, we do love trivia.
I know
on
you
this
do because you don't like
podcast.
numbers.
Sure.
So I
Yeah.
brought trivia. So fun fact:
Oh, it's a fun fact. I thought it was trivia.
you know who played it? You know who does the voice of Aunt May in the film?
No,
No.
It's Lily Tomlin.
I should have known that. Yep. Oh,
So
you know,
here's the
Vicky
thing.
picked that out while we were listening. So yeah, Or watching.
All 4 actresses to play Aunt May in a theatrical film
have been on.
have something in common.
They were all part of 9 to 5.
No.
What?
Rosemary
Working 9
Harris,
to 5. What a way to make a
Sally
living.
Field, Marissa Tomei, Lily Tomlin. They all have something in common.
Wow. I'm just trying to think of Sally Field and Marissa Tomei and two things. It was something they have in common.
I've got nothing.
You're going to give me a hint.
They're all Academy Award nominees.
Oh.
Some of them have won, but they're all nominees.
Okay. So Aunt May does well.
Yeah. And I liked this version of Aunt May. The
Yeah.
idea of Aunt May who knows who Peter was.
A very empowered.
And I like the
lot of
idea of
agency in her own
when she's
life.
taken in the shed and Spider's like, oh yeah, I got one of those too.
Yeah, a bunch of other things.
Yeah. Again,
Yeah.
another really funny moment.
Right. It's just hard to find moments in this film where the wrong foot is put forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Unlike
even-
Aquaman, which is like a barrage of jokes that don't make you laugh.
Even the way that they referenced every other version of Spider-Man that has pretty much existed.
Yeah.
Because you basically
beginning,
you
yeah.
get like the Tobey Maguire versions,
Right,
like,
the
we don't
hanging
talk
upside
about that
down and
one.
kissing.
Yeah, this happened.
Except
Yeah.
I think in that one it's Mary Jane hanging upside down and Spider-Man's on the ground. Like it's a little bit different.
Yeah. But the point is.
But enough that you could kind of say this is kind of taking place in a similar world.
right.
Just the way that it again and for a movie about kind of the different versions of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
That in another way it also embraced all the different versions of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
That have existed even in like the smallest of ways.
Yeah.
Like it's just a really good but also a really smart film.
Yeah. Yeah. And so Stan Lee's cameo.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That almost wrecked me.
Yeah. It's because it's the last cameo, right?
It's the last. Well, no,
Unless
he's got him in Captain Marvel, and I think he's got one in Endgame. And I think
does
that's
he?
It.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
All right.
I read somewhere where they do have this is the last one that he'll do for an animated Marvel movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, they filmed the one for Captain Marvel and they filmed the one for Endgame because they filmed Endgame when they did Infinity War.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure Endgame is the last one.
Yeah. But the movie coming out soon after Stan Lee passed away.
Oh, yeah.
It was a really nice moment.
And just the first what's the first line? When he says I'm going to miss him, like when Stan says that, I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
You just wrecked me. Like I can't deal with Stan saying he's going to miss Spider-Man right now. Like that just
Yeah. Powerful.
It
Like,
was.
really
It was just
powerful.
like, it was like, oh.
And of all the stuff
And funny.
Marvel's done, like to commemorate and celebrate Stan Lee and his contributions to
Yeah.
the industry, this was in many ways, I felt like the most heartfelt.
And I did like the fact
of
that
moment.
one of the post-credit scenes was just the Lee Ditko in memory of.
Yeah.
I liked that they acknowledged Ditko as well.
And that they brought them together again because God knows the industry,
Yeah.
kind of intermittently brought them together and pushed them apart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm trying hard to think of a moment in the film that was not like pitch perfect.
Right.
Like they really nailed it.
And then the post-credit scene with
Oh
the
my
1967 TV Spider-Man.
But even better that we get the Miguel O'Hara like Spider-Man 2099.
Yeah.
Like just what looks like the most faithful version you could imagine.
Yeah.
And then they plop him right back into the Spider-Man pointing meme. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like we
Yeah.
waited
I think
to the
this
whole
might be-
credits for the scene, and, it's
And I'm like, I think this might be
But it was
one of, if not my favorite of the post-credit scenes.
I was going to say, has there ever been a better post? I mean, the shawarma, for me, is kind of a classic because it was one of the first ones that would just.
It is,
like,
but also
made you
the
laugh.
Spider-Man Far From Home, where it's Cap comes back doing the PSAs.
Yeah.
He's like, sometimes you wait for something and it's worth it. Other times, it's kind of a disappointment.
That's a good one too.
Like this one falls into that same camp where they're kind of playing with us a little bit.
As I say, it's like wait till the whole credit scene, and you're gonna get.
I just, but it was such a good
such a
joke.
good-
Like it was
the fact
just,
that they went so
Joe,
far with
why are
it,
you
yeah.
and that
And
they
it
just
just goes-
ran with it forever.
it just goes
Yeah.
on
Like-
and on and
like,
on.
Who pointed first? Oh, it's definitely Spider-Man who pointed first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
just-
well, because number one, I freaking love the 1967 animated Spider-Man cartoon.
Who doesn't? Spider-Man.
As bad as
Does
it
whatever a
is,
spider can.
as how much recycled footage they used of him web swinging.
Yep.
Like I just love that cartoon.
When I was that age, like I just watch anything that was.
Oh, yeah.
I used to watch like the Fantastic Four cartoon that had Herbie the robot.
oh my God, Herbie the Robot.
It was it was
That was bad. But
like-
yeah, that Spider-Man, like that, and it was just such a classic, like again, very faithful Spider-Man to the comics.
yeah.
But yeah, the way in which like his costume would have the web lines, and then in other scenes it would not have the web lines.
Yeah. Oh, it's just like
Even like watching like the animation that they did in Spiderverse, where like his jaw is like kind of ballooning out as he talks. I'm like, wow,
yeah.
I still love it.
They were true to the art form.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff.
I love what they call technology. You got the goober. It's like the what? It's like there's always some thingy or whatever we need. It's just called the goober.
I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure you've called almost every piece of equipment in here the goober
Yeah.
at some point.
But I just like that they explain, like,
Yeah.
like Spider-Man's not always smart and super intelligent. Sometimes he just steals it from like his
Yeah.
villains.
Yeah. So I did find one critic that was somewhat harsh.
Okay.
That I wanted to read you some from.
Okay.
To see if there's any validity in it.
Okay.
So this is Roger Moore of Movie
I say
Nation.
not Roger Moore that played James Bond in the
I don't know.
80s.
What's Roger Moore doing nowadays?
I don't know.
Yeah, maybe this is his gig now.
All right, so here's what he had to say about the look of the film. Because this plainly cut-rate enterprise, in which the dot matrix of character CGI is plainly visible on an IMAX screen near you, the action is as jerky as 1960s TV anime and action beats that devolve into a Transformers blur. It's ugly enough on the big screen to spoil a pretty good effort at redefining the comic book movie. They wanted to make it look like a comic book. They went too far. He later went on to describe it as, quote, direct-to-DVD quality animation.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is,
That seems a little off base.
yeah.
So you're going to call foul
I'm gonna
on
call
that
foul
one,
on
given
that,
what
yeah.
all that we've said. This guy, I think this is a guy that when I read his review, he actually got up at the beginning of the film to go talk to like the people who were screening it and ask if there was something wrong with the projector.
There are ways in which the animation style does take some time to
Agreed.
adapt to.
Because it's new.
Well,
Yeah,
but there's
'cause
also a bunch of times where they do the lines where it's like, do I need 3D glasses for this? Like there was some
Right.
times in the beginning
Yeah,
especially.
agreed. But
Well, I
that
gotta say
Roger Moore is
yeah.
like just like he's old man yelling at clouds.
Well,
you know,
but-
don't do something new.
Well, but I
Old man
think
yelling at
the
clouds, yeah.
Classic.
the Sienkiewicz comparison makes sense because I think for a lot of, particularly when you're thinking like 1980s comic book art,
Right.
You're thinking John Byrne, you're thinking George Perez,
Dave Cockrum.
very clean.
Yep.
And then you get Sienkiewicz, who's just so abstract and weird. And, I remember like seeing some of his art, when I was younger.
Yeah.
I'm like, what people like this stuff? Like,
Yeah,
this is awful.
He doesn't draw real people.
Yeah, like it's
kind of
all
thing, yeah.
so stylized.
Yeah.
And then obviously sort of have grown to, when you would never have a Sienkiewicz style artist
Yeah.
on a mainstream X-Men title today.
No way.
Like you would never have that.
Avengers either, right?
No, on any of the franchises.
Yeah. Of course, like when he came to New Mutants was just New Mutants.
It's just yeah.
Like it wasn't a huge risk for Marvel because
Well, when you think he's coming on to New Mutants after Sal Buscema.
Yeah.
Who again, very
classic,
classic.
like
style.
everybody looks sort of realistic
Yeah.
in a way. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when I went to the thing with Bob McLeod.
Yeah.
Who was the inker on Sal.
Yeah.
Buscema. I remember we were talking about it, and he mentioned that one of the reasons he left New Mutants is that he just got tired of inking Sal's art.
Yeah.
Because it was all like everything was kind of like mid-range shots, and there wasn't a lot of style to it.
And very clean, like very simple, direct.
Yeah, so I could see some of that. I mean, there's ways in which that the animation is very
Well, it is jerky at times
and very different.
It blurs. It definitely is doing that kind of stuff, but like direct to DVD quality.
Well, and to compare,
this is a guy who's missed the whole point.
Listen.
He's missed the whole point of this.
That's
film,
not even the
right?
worst crime.
Yeah.
To compare the fight scenes in Spiderverse to the fight scenes in Transformers, that man needs to no longer be able to review films.
Yeah. Oh, I've got more for you. Do you want to hear what he said about the plot?
Because to say like that is ridiculous.
All right, so maybe you'll like what he said about the plot.
I don't think so.
The main story is just recycled variations on generic comic book themes. Nothing special. It's the flippant tone, the awkward adjustment of the kid to quote-unquote changes in his body, sticky hands and feet, etc. Changes he attributes to puberty that give the Spiderverse a lift.
So basically, he boils down the entire plot to like that 5-minute scene of where he's first getting his powers.
Did he watch the movie?
What was the quote that I pulled out?
Synopsis?
The plot is just recycled variations on generic comic book themes.
See, I don't, because that's one of the things I found really interesting about the film and trying to kind of figure out for the Miles. I mean, obviously for the classic Spider-Man,
Right?
Like the great line is, "With great power comes great responsibility."
Right.
And also, I love the fact that when he's about to quote that to Peter, Peter's like, "Do not finish that sentence." And it got me thinking. I'm like, okay, so if with great power comes great responsibility is like the Peter Parker Spider-Man mantra,
Yeah.
what's the Miles Morales? Because I don't think the theme of this film is with great power comes great responsibility.
No, not really.
Yeah.
I think, the theme that obviously everyone is talking about is that this is a film that kind of shows anyone can be Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the ideas behind the film. Is that kind of like the message
Right.
of the film.
But also in a way that's counterintuitive to comic books often, that success comes from community, right? The Spider-Men win because it's a team of spider people.
Right.
They don't win because there's a Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Just a thought.
Yeah. Well, and even when you think about it, like the original Spider-Man in the film gets killed
Yeah.
working on his own.
Yeah. I thought that was quite a moment, too.
Yeah, I was really surprised. I mean, because
Spider-Man dies, not
knowing
on screen, but virtually on screen.
Yeah, well, and knowing that happened, like I was surprised because that obviously is what happens in the Bendis comics. Is
Yeah, the
that
Ultimate
Spider-Man
Universe.
eventually, in the Ultimate, that Spider-Man dies and Morales is sort of inspired to
Yeah.
carry on. I was really surprised they did that.
Yeah.
The other thing that I find interesting is that because you know who is the voice of that Spider-Man?
No.
It's Chris Pine, who has now died in Spiderverse,
Yeah.
Wonder Woman, and Star Trek.
So you're saying there's a positive
He
note
dies
in all of this.
When Chris Pine dies, the movie gets better.
Well, except he's coming back to the next Wonder Woman
Well, and
movie,
they brought him
so-
back in
pretend
Star
it's not
Trek as
gonna
well.
happen.
So did he really die?
But I just find it interesting that Chris
Right now,
Pine
we can
characters
pretend
tend to
it's not
die
gonna
Yeah.
in these films. Oh, and we also didn't talk about the Spider-Man Christmas album, which they actually released like on YouTube or something. Like you'd actually get the Christmas
That's
album.
spectacular.
And the Spider-Man's Lament song that just
Yeah.
that just becomes so dark at the end.
Yeah. It's like, why did I agree to this?
yeah.
I have a degree in
I have a
chemical-
degree in chemical engineering. Oh, Spider-Man.
Yeah. It's really it's
I don't even know
Actually-
why that works, but it totally works.
right, but a fascinating kind of story to tell at some point would be the way in which Marvel mis-merchandised for years and years, like struggled to figure out how to really merchandise superheroes in a way that would like have meaningful traction.
Yeah.
in what they do now.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, you think about it. I mean, I think Honest Trailers have talked about this when they've done like Honest Trailers for the Keaton Batman films or like the like Superman 2 and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They're like, welcome to the 1980s, a topsy-turvy world where DC rules the Marvel universe and Marvel's trying to get its crap together.
Yeah,
Because they show like the like early 80s Captain America.
yeah,
The classics.
with the Italian Red Skull and
Yeah.
all of that. Like,
Yeah.
it's just bad.
it's bad. Like it's really bad.
And yeah, I mean, again, you just think of how things have because yeah, in the '80s, like you had Superman, Batman, and that was pretty much it in terms of
yeah.
successful superhero films.
I mean, Marvel really was, I guess, waiting for the technology
Part of it, yeah,
to catch up in a way.
and it took a while because even I would say like the first X-Men film. There's a lot of ways that you can kind of see that film is still kind of limited by the technology.
Right.
Like, I just remember the fight scene between Wolverine and Mystique, that everything is so dark
Right.
that it covers up a lot of what I think they had to do.
My least favorite filming technique is like just put it in the shadows. When
Yeah.
you can't.
It's the cheapest one, though.
I understand that.
Yeah, I think that's the thing is you can kind of see that film's kind of whereas you look at Infinity War, and there were no limits to that budget.
Yeah. Right. So I got one more thing from Roger Moore.
Okay,
This one you might agree with, though.
so far.
Yeah. He describes it as, quote, a headache-inducing, blown-up TV under-animated miasma.
I don't know how you would describe this film as under
I understood
animated.
those words individually, but not together.
I think that's a fair comment.
Yeah.
actually.
Like he just said things and tried to link them together.
Right. Yeah, but like you said, how many animators? 140
140.
animators? So it was under-animated.
Yeah, exactly.
Like they hired 140 people and they didn't do
Clearly
anything.
they need
Yeah.
280.
and I think
At least.
I think
Yeah.
the original team was something like 60 or 80, and they
Yeah.
realized, okay, yeah, no, we do not have enough people to get this done on time, so
Yeah.
we need to almost double
Yeah.
the amount of animators working.
Well,
on this
according to
thing.
Roger Moore, not nearly enough,
Yeah.
or too many.
I guess.
Yeah. His complaints are there's not enough and there's also too much.
Yeah,
Simultaneously, they give me too much and not enough.
It's not good.
So I did find IGN's ranking of Spider-Man films.
So
when
you
we
got
asked
numbers.
So when we asked you about the ranking of films,
No.
you said you didn't have them.
That was in terms of box office. This is in terms of quality.
Oh, quality. Well, that was
So-
my final question for you is like, where does this fall
Yes, well, that's where do you think it falls?
on the best of
So they've got 9 Spider-Man films.
Okay.
So they've got the 3 Tobey Maguires are in there.
Yeah.
The 2 Andrew Garfield.
Yep.
Homecoming is obviously on the list. Spiderverse is on the list.
Okay.
They've also got Civil War and Infinity War.
Really?
That's kind of cheating.
Let me leave those two out for a minute because I think it's hard to call those Spider-Man
Yeah,
films.
it's a bit of a stretch.
I mean, you could say they're more Captain America films, if anything.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the one is called Captain America.
Well, the other one is called Avengers Infinity
Civil War.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So the Andrew Garfield stuff, I assume, would be towards the bottom.
Yes, they are the bottom 2.
Yeah. Okay. So you put them at the bottom. The third Tobey Maguire film, people say, is overstuffed, so it's probably near the bottom too.
It is next. So far, you are pitch perfect on the
All right.
bottom.
It's easier to pick the bottom than the top.
Well, I will say
I think.
okay. So you've got the Andrew Garfield, you've got
Yep.
Spider-Man 3.
Yeah.
Slotted right after that are both Civil War and Avengers Infinity War.
Okay. All right.
So we're now up to the top 4.
The top 4, which are 2 Tobey Maguire, Homecoming, and the animated film.
I think that's the order, I would say.
I would say that they're going to give. Is it the second Tobey Maguire film that's first on the list?
Yes.
Oh.
And then, I don't know, is Rich right? Is it the first Tobey Maguire film that's next? Or is it the Tom Holland film? It's Spiderverse.
Spiderverse. They've got Spiderverse as number 2.
That's higher than I would think they'd
and
put
then
it.
you've got Tom Holland, and then you've got the first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man.
That's almost perfect to me.
Yeah, I
think.
can't really
I think
argue with that.
What is the second one again?
That's
the
a-
second.
That's the Doc Ock.
Isn't that the one where he's emo?
No. That's Spider-Man 3.
Spider-Man 3 is very
Okay.
emo.
Yeah, for most people, Spider-Man 2 is, prior to Spider-Verse, is by far the best of the Spider-Man films.
Although Hope was going back and rewatching all the old Tobey Maguire stuff recently.
Yeah.
I'm not sure it holds up.
It's got some, well, it's got some,
Homecoming would beat the Tobey
it's got
Maguire
some
stuff.
very Sam Raimi quirks. Like, you can see elements of Sam Raimi's horror background sneak into that film.
Yeah, and there's just moments where, some films hold up better in
Yeah.
time and some films just look really dated.
Well, it's another one that's got a lot of campiness at times to it.
Yeah, and there's just a dated quality to it, which means I might be overrating Tom Holland's
Yeah.
Homecoming, but he was such a good Spider-Man.
He is a really good Spider-Man.
Like he just fits the part.
Talking about Holland?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So well, better than Tobey Maguire.
Well,
think,
I mean, Maguire,
ultimately.
I think, was in his 30s at the time
Yeah.
when he was playing high
Yeah, that's
schooler
tricky
Peter
too,
Parker.
is that,
Yeah.
Holland
Tricky.
is much younger.
Yeah.
He plays
Yeah,
the
Holland is
younger
actually,
part.
around the right age for a
Right.
teenage Spider-Man.
And maybe Maguire captured the pure nerdiness.
Yeah.
Better.
Oh, Maguire did a great job, particularly in
Yeah.
the first two.
Yeah, no, I think he was. I think he was quite good. But yeah, I'm. If it were me, I might put the Spider-Verse first.
Yeah.
Holland and then Spider-Man 2. But like splitting hairs.
Yeah.
Like it's a pretty good list.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good list. And we rarely agree with people.
We do.
Except you did seem to like Roger Moore.
No, yeah. He's clearly got his finger on
I mean,
the
he's
pulse.
on point, yeah. I don't know what point that
Now,
is,
of course,
but
the
he's
big
on
thing
it.
that we have to discuss. How are we doing on time, by the way?
Okay, 10 minutes.
We should probably talk about the best animated Oscar that
Sure.
this is nominated for.
What's
Okay.
it up against?
Oh, that's a good question. What is it up against?
Yeah, it's almost like if you
It
brought
is
this
up
up, you would have
against-
known.
Yes.
Incredibles 2,
Terrible film.
Isle
it?
of Dogs.
I didn't see it, but
Oh, no, it's really
would
good.
not vote for that.
That's
Really?
that's the one that has me worried.
Yeah.
Isle of Dogs, I think, could beat it.
Mirai, which is anime style.
I didn't see that.
I didn't see
don't
that
know
either.
that one. I have to look into it.
Ralph Breaks the Internet.
No way.
That's what those are the movies it's up against.
It's got to win.
My concern,
Yeah.
I am of two minds on this.
Yeah.
My concern is really Isle of Dogs.
Isn't
Yeah.
that a claymation kind of thing?
It is,
Well,
but
it's
it's Wes
stop motion.
Anderson.
Yeah,
I think
Right.
I think this is
Right.
it's the movie.
I know
that-
it's Wes Anderson, but is that animation?
Yes.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
Because it's stop motion animation.
yeah.
Oh,
And I could
like
see
Stoppy the camera.
Yes,
I could
exactly.
see Oscar voters gravitating to that and its quirkiness.
Well, and it is Wes Anderson, and
Yeah.
they'll look at Spider-Man. They'll be like, just a superhero cartoon.
Yes. Now,
That would be tragic.
my flip side to that
Yes, there's a flip side.
is that if they give Spider-Man Best Animated Film,
Yes,
it gives them cover for not giving Black Panther Best Film.
but that suggests that the Oscars are all rigged, and
Oh, but they
just,
do this all the time.
No, there's voting.
Right.
How do you look? We live in a democracy. When people go and vote, the majority wins no matter what.
Really?
Yeah,
Is that how it works?
that's what I was taught growing up.
Yeah, but that's what you were taught. Is that how it works?
Sure, it does.
Okay.
Don't get all fake newsy in here.
I'm just saying. So, yeah, I mean, I feel
yeah, like if I could see them doing that.
I
Well,
feel
it's
like
got
that
a
could
lot
be
of-
coin flip with the.
But to me, I don't think they're going to take Black Panther seriously enough. They should. I think Black Panther is more deserving than some that are on that list for
Oh,
sure.
I would. Yeah.
Black
I-
Panther or Spider-Verse?
Black Panther, but I don't think they'll.
No,
There's
no.
no way Black Panther.
Panther's reward is getting nominated.
Right,
Which
yeah.
which most people thought was not going to happen.
It's still insulting
Yeah.
to the people who made that film.
Now, what I find interesting
you know.
is that they had the Annies, which I guess are the animated awards.
Okay.
I guess they were like this weekend or something. Spider-Verse was nominated for 7 awards, including Best Film.
Yeah.
It won all 7.
Yeah.
Like, it swept them.
So
it's
there's
got
a chance.
And Black Panther's been winning a lot of stuff.
It has.
Like, they
but
won basically the top award at the Screen Actors Guild, Best Ensemble.
Do you ever wonder that some of the pre-Oscar award shows are trying to like
Soften the blow of the loss of Oscar.
No. I think trying
No,
to make a
position
point of
films?
they want to demonstrate that they're not the Oscars.
Oh, okay. I got
Right,
it.
like
so
the
the Oscars
Oscars.
do this, so we would
the
definitely
Oscars are
not
going to
do
be
that.
stodgy, and they're going to pick like what's expected. I don't know. It's just a theory that I've been working on.
Yeah.
Like how people make those decisions. If Spider-Man doesn't win that award, I think that's criminal.
Yeah,
of course. I'm saying that's a guy who didn't see Isle of Dogs.
Isle of Dogs is on HBO, so you could see it because you do have the HBO.
Maybe I'll take a look at it.
It is a good movie. I liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know there was something. I think I remember it said something that people had some issues with. There were some racial issues in it. I think.
Really?
Yeah, like some more
yeah.
possibly some imperialism or
Well,
depiction of Asian culture. I'm not sure.
I mean, I always take those kind of movies with a grain of salt because it's Wes Anderson making them, and
Mm.
it's like he's not of that culture, so like there's only so much that's going to happen.
Yeah. So, but yeah. So I don't know. Isle of Dogs is the one that I'm really concerned about.
I think you're handicapping it right. I think Spider-Man should win it.
I think it should too.
I think it's got to be at least 50-50 for Spider-Verse,
I mean, I think it's a coin flip, yeah.
especially after people listen to this show.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Or is the voting already done?
Well, we are tastemakers. Well, no, because the Oscars are not until February 24th.
So we've got time.
We've got time. In fact, I think that gives us 3 weeks of shows.
We have time for another Oscar trilogy.
Oh, dun, 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 dun.
The by far.
You will be doing that
The-
by
Dun,
yourself.
dun, 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 dun.
You will be doing that alone.
We will be the dum Oscar masters.
Yes, the Oscar, the return of the Oscar trilogy.
That was, I think,
Like Aquaman, nobody asked for it.
I think
but here it
everybody
is.
would agree. Like if you had to rank your bottom 5 podcasts that we've produced, the Oscar trilogy is 3 of them.
The Oscar trilogy is
Wait,
the
are we just
original.
doing it in terms of like sheer like listeners? 'Cause I
Well-
don't think they were bad shows.
Well, none of the shows are bad. Like I'm not saying they're bad.
Oh, I'm glad you're objective. None
But-
of the shows we do are bad.
Well, but in comparison to the others, the Oscars, they struggled a little bit. Definitely the Game Chateau. The Game Chateau is the worst.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the Game
Oh,
Chateau.
come
one
on,
was-
that
no
was the
offense, but
bad.
the sound
No.
quality doesn't really translate.
I haven't really
Does it
listened to
not?
that one yet.
No. Like there's some
That's the one that I didn't record.
there's some issues with the room and the background noise.
I probably could
And
fix
quite
that.
frankly,
People and
we had a lot of fun playing the game, but I'm not sure people just listening to it.
I have a lot of fun.
in the
have the
future,
same
if we
level
do
of
something like
joy.
that again, maybe a video thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
That
may
or what we
be
should
a
do
requirement almost.
Yeah.
is I think we should take a page out of Community and we should do like a Dungeons and Dragons episode where we play
Yes.
Dungeons and
Oh,
Dragons.
we should. Now that I
Can I be the DM?
Umber Hulk.
Yeah,
Can I play like a distant Umber Hulk cousin? Cornelius Umber Hulk.
Yeah. You have to wait. I have to come with the post to the other guys that played yesterday.
Yeah?
I have to post that still.
yeah. Which reminds me, I did like the. I don't know if you picked. I saw it the second time.
Yeah.
That when Miles goes to his uncle's the first time, he's watching Community.
No.
It's the Donald. It's the scene.
Yeah.
It's the one where Donald Glover wakes up and he's in the Spider-Man pajamas, which is part of the whole have Donald Glover be Spider-Man bit.
Yeah. Oh my God. Such a. You'd have to watch that movie 5 times.
Yeah.
To really appreciate it.
Yeah, like, I think there's at
Well, that's
least.
the plus of animation. It's much easier for them
I
to
think
sneak
there's
stuff
some
into the
other.
background.
There's some other Glover reference. I think in the film.
Yeah.
Because they do reference. I think they reference him a couple of times.
I'm trying to imagine a Dungeons and Dragons episode.
Well, because the first episode could just be you guys making a character.
Oh, Dungeons and Dragons trilogy.
I gotta say I'm a little gun shy on trilogies.
Okay, tetralogy.
Yeah, that's better for sure. It's always better to go one
I
more.
have to go
You're
ahead
gun
and
shy
Google.
on 3. Let's go for 4.
Yeah,
I have to go ahead and Google that word. You know what it means?
8.
It means 4.
Yeah. So it's an interesting idea, except it seems like we all know where it would end. You would create a leader of men.
No.
I would create a character that you really hated.
No.
And we would end up knifing each other in the back.
I would. Okay, that's inevitable. I would create a leader of Umber Hulks,
Well, I'm going to be if we're doing it, I'm an Umber Hulk.
and I'm
just going to be like the bastard adopted Umber Hulk.
Oh, yeah, there's so many reasons why that probably can't happen.
You'll be like the Jon Snow of Umber Hulks.
Yes.
That's a Game of Thrones reference. in
I
case
know.
you didn't
I
understand
did.
it.
I did get that reference.
Okay,
I understood
that's
it.
good. Yeah.
I understood it.
It would be funny if it's like, okay, you have to work together and you can't kill each other. Like, give
That's
yourself-
way too many rules already.
Yeah, I was saying. I'm confused. I've been like, what?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Or just we'd put together such a different traveling party, given our fantasy draft.
I feel like we have to do this with Bobby.
it would be fun to do with Bobby.
Oh my God, Bobby'd be the one that has to keep you two together. Bobby's the one that's basically, arms out,
So,
stopping you from stabbing.
Spiderverse.
There's possibilities.
Yeah.
Anything else on Spiderverse?
Yeah, we could do superhero D&D characters.
Oh, there we go.
That'd be possible, right?
Potentially.
If you're the dungeon master.
Well, you know what you always need?
Leader of men.
You need an archer.
Who wants to be that character?
Man, that's
Who wants to be the first to go?
That's what
Whoa,
it'll be.
why does he
You'll
have to
be
be
a
the first
character
to go?
like Superman, and then he'll be like, "I'm an archer." And it's like you'll go, "I'll stop the building from falling. I'll
Listen.
shoot some arrows at it."
Yeah.
Listen,
Oh, look,
Hawkeye-
there's an army of orcs shooting arrows at us. Oh, the archer has been pierced 400 times.
Whoa! I would like to point out that Hawkeye, after all the other Avengers were defeated,
Yeah.
took down the Collector in Avengers number 273.
I would like to point out that the last we saw Hawkeye, he decided when the Earth was in desperate danger, he would stay home on house arrest.
Well, he's a law-abiding citizen now.
And based on the Endgame trailers,
And now
how's that
he's
worked out for him?
and now he's a homicidal
Yeah.
sword.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that, by the way? I know it's off topic, but I'm just curious. Having what you've seen from where he does
Yeah.
look homicidal
Oh, I
and
called
look
it. He's
like
at
he's
his
gone
home.
like very anti-hero Ronin, right?
Yeah, yeah, he's wearing the Ronin costume.
I don't know much about Ronin. Was Ronin a big anti-hero?
Well, no,
Or was
Ronin,
it just a fancy suit
Ronin
he
was
put
the
on?
identity Hawkeye used after he came back from the dead.
So it was a dark character.
Yeah, yeah, in the sense that I'm trying to remember why he was hiding his identity, but he was hiding his
I'm just trying to
identity.
remember he was like an anti-hero.
He was, well, the
Like
issue
the
is
hot
that,
shorts Hawkeye from the 70s?
No.
Clearly an anti-hero.
Well, because the issue is that Ronin was supposed to be this big mystery character, and then that kind of petered out, and
Yeah.
then Hawkeye adopted the identity when he came back
Yeah,
after coming back to life post House of M.
got it.
Was it post House of M?
I don't know when he came back.
But I mean, that's what I called
Yeah.
it. Like he's going to be at his home drinking coffee, and his family just poof.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's clear his family got dusted.
And so now he's going to...
Yeah.
And now he's killing gangsters.
Yeah.
For some reason.
That's one thing I have a question
Maybe
about.
we're
Is
in a better place.
Based on the trailer, it looks like the heels just sort of disappeared and like went. Like,
Oh, you know, I just realized we are talking about the trailer
That we're going to talk about next week.
next week. So maybe we should...
So maybe we should stop and not air this part of the episode.
nope, too late. It's
Dude.
live.
Well, what are you
not-
gonna do? It's
it's
okay.
not
Like, the good news is you won't remember what we talked about when we come back next week.
What did we say?
Exactly.
I don't know what we talk about after we leave today.
Did we talk about Spiderverse?
I think we covered a little bit of it.
Okay, that's good.